Welcome to Rod's Tree Tours of the University of Nevada, Reno Arboretum. My name is Rod Hollenbeek, aka the Tree Hunter. I am your host for this tour. This is the Manzanita Bowl Tree Tour. It starts at the west side of the Center Street entrance at 9th Street, going clockwise on 9th Street to North Virginia Street, crosses the Manzanita Lake Dam, and ends at the starting point. There is a pause of 2 to 3 seconds after each tree to let you get to the next tree. But if you haven't yet reached that tree, or if you need a little extra time to locate or contemplate it, please press pause until you are ready, then press play. Okay, let's get started. Walk on the sidewalk along 9th Street towards North Virginia Street. There is a line of large trees right of the sidewalk. Stop at the tree at number 1 on the map and press play. This is European White Elm, scientific name Ulmus laevis, probably planted around 1910, native to Europe. It has inconspicuous green to red violet flowers, which appear before the toothed leaves with uneven bases. This tree was identified as such in a tree tour in 1985. The fourth tree from the Center Street entrance is the Nevada State Champion. Please press pause and go to the blue-gray weeping conifer on the right end of the University of Nevada sign at number 2 on the map, then press play. This is a fine example of weeping Atlas cedar, scientific name Cedrus atlantica glauca pendula. It is a cultivar of Atlas cedar, a tree native to the Atlas Mountains of Morocco and Algeria. This cultivar is prized for its limbs, which head in one direction at a low angle and continue as the tree grows. If you plant one of these, be careful in which direction you plant it. On the other end of the sign, at number 3, is juniper, scientific name Juniperus sp. This is the second most planted genus of trees on campus after pine, with over 300 trees, but species differentiation is difficult for junipers. The one thing junipers have in common is small blue-gray berries whose favorite use is flavoring gin. The two small trees about 30 feet from the back of the sign at number 4 are European Spindletree, scientific name Euonymus europaeus, native to Europe and Western Asia. Its best feature is bright red fall color like that of its cousin, the extremely popular yard shrub flamebush, scientific name Euonymus alata. This is an uncommon tree in Reno. The lone one a few feet further east, separated by a similar sized tree from these two, is the Nevada State Champion. The tree separating the group of European spindle trees at number 5 is Hopa Crabapple, scientific name Malus hopa. Decades ago, the most popular crabapple to plant. Fashions have changed, and this cultivar is hard to find anywhere, having been supplanted by a dazzling variety of cultivars. Nevertheless, this tells us that the Manzanita bowl was planted in the 1950s or 1960s. A few years after planting, crabapples have shaggy and mottled bark. Hopa crabapples were planted in an arc going up the hill of Manzanita Bowl. Please press pause and retrace your steps to the left side of the sign. Go up the North Virginia Street sidewalk about 30 feet and press play. The small tree right of the sidewalk at number 6 is Sweetgum, scientific name Liquidambar styraciflua. Native to the eastern U.S., it has maple-like leaves with 5 smooth-edged lobes and spiny 1-inch fruits. Note the ridges running along small branches of this tree. This is what is called winged or corky bark, and it is typical of young sweetgums. This tree, in the best color years, will have purplish or orange-red fall color. The next tree up the hill at number 7 with 2-inch 5-lobed leaves is English Hawthorn, scientific name Crataegus levigata. native to Europe and North Africa. This small tree has small, showy white flowers, and in fall has half-inch red fruits which attract birds. English hawthorn has simple leaves, which means that the central stem is attached to the branch at one end and to a single leaf at the other end. The medium-sized tree at about 30 feet back from the sidewalk at number 8 has a different pattern. The central stem has a number of small leaflets coming out from it. This is referred to as a pinnately compound leaf. This particular tree is Honeylocust, scientific name Cladicea triacanthos, variety inermis. By the way, the species has thorns, and this naturally occurring variety is thornless. Native to eastern and midwestern U.S., Honeylocust has zigzag branches, greenish-yellow flowers, and dark twisted seed pods. At number 9 is a tree with what is called bipinnately compound leaves. What this means is that there is a central stem with secondary stems coming out from it, and the leaflets coming out from the secondary stems. This is Kentucky coffee tree, scientific name Gymnocladus dioicus, native to the eastern and midwestern U.S. The female trees of this species produce a pod with beans which the early settlers used as a coffee substitute. This tree has leaves which come out late in spring and which fall in early fall. There is a nice specimen of this tree on the quad tour. Please press pause and proceed past the concrete channeled waterway on your right, the ore ditch. Take the sidewalk to the right. In the grassy area to the right at number 10 is a large tree. Press play. This is silver maple, scientific name Acer saccharinum. This native of eastern North America was one of the most planted tree species in lawn areas in the U.S. for many years, but it has gone out of favor because it easily drops twigs, its shallow roots are a problem for lawnmowers, and its fall color is usually a dull yellow. Walk right toward the chain link fence. This area is choked with vegetation, all of it volunteers, plants that sprouted naturally without being planted. In the middle of this, at number 11, there is a tree a few inches in diameter with light brown vertically striped bark just inside the fence. It has light green leaves with either 1 or 2 lobes. This is Red Mulberry, scientific name Morus rubra. It most probably was planted when a seed from a red mulberry tree across the dam passed through a bird's digestive system. The tree hunter didn't notice it until it had red and black berries. Between the fence and the sidewalk is a weeping conifer at number 12. It is weeping eastern white pine, scientific name Pinus strobus pendula. This is one of the 4 forms of this species, which is native to the eastern half of North America, found on campus. This tree is recognizable as a white pine by the 5 needles in a bundle. The shape of weeping eastern white pine varies wildly in individual trees. Take the sidewalk next to the dam. Past it on the right at number 13 is a silver green conifer, Colorado blue spruce, scientific name Picea pungens. Native to the northern Rocky Mountains, this tree grows quite well in Reno. Its attractive foliage and relative lack of pest problems make it a desirable park tree. However, this tree grows too large to be popular as a yard or street tree. Look toward the other end of the dam. There are 2 lines of trees to your right. Both are cultivars of flowering or calorie pear, a native of Korea and Japan. This species supplanted common or fruiting pear, scientific name Pyrus communis, in landscape plantings because it was thought to have greater resistance to a disease called fire blight. At number 14 is Bradford Pear, scientific name Pyrus caluriana Bradford. Bradford Pear has its own problem. The tree's limbs are at a high angle and are thus structurally weak, so they are susceptible to wind damage. Walk past the first tree and look back. You can see a huge scar where a major limb broke off. I'm going out on a limb here, and speculating that at least 4 of the Bradfords died from wind damage, possibly, and 2 were replaced with the tree at number 15. This is Aristocrat Pear, scientific name Pyrus Caleriana, a cultivar introduced in 1969. It is even narrower than Bradford and has the same problem. The 4th tree in the line, an Aristocrat, has a huge limb scar too. Since I'm still out on that limb and the wind is picking up, I'm going to guess that the row of Aristocrat pears a few feet downhill was planted, possibly in the 1990s. They were not mentioned in the 1995 tree tour, in anticipation of the removal of the rest of the Bradfords. Please press pause and continue on the sidewalk until you are almost at the street from the Center Street entrance. There are 4 Colorado blue spruces on your right. They were planted in the early 1960s as memorial trees. At the end of the lines of pears, and in back of the sign at number 16, is a tree with purple leaves, purple leaf plum, scientific name Prunus sericifera Crowder Vesuvius, planted in 1982. This cultivar of the West Asian native cherry plum is named for a nurseryman who introduced it in 1957. Since then, its popularity has exploded, possibly because it has a multitude of pink flowers before the purple leaves come out. This is one of the first trees in Reno to bloom in spring. The conifer next to it, at number 17, was described as Spartan Juniper, scientific name Juniperus chinensis Spartan, in a 1985 tree tour. Otherwise, I would not be able to identify it because the hundreds of juniper cultivars can be columnar, low-lying, or anything in between. Juniper is the second most commonly planted genus of tree on the campus, after pine. This tree was planted in 1978. The last tree on this tour, between 2 Hopa Crabapples at number 18, is Norway Spruce, scientific name Picea abies, native to Central and Northern Europe. Its branches tend to droop on each side of the limb, and the limbs tend to droop from the trunk. Compare the shape, color, and branch structure with those of the Colorado blue spruce at number 16. This concludes the Manzanita Bowl tree tour. Thank you for joining me on this tour. If you would like to support the Arboretum, please see the options on the Donate link on the UNR Arboretum website.